Hi, I'm Everett Maxine, and I would like to thank you for listening to The Absence of Her. Please remember to like, follow, and most importantly, share. Are you a YouTube fan? You can also follow my channel, Everett Maxine, and listen to all the past and present episodes. Seeking a moment of motivation, check out the Rich Girl Stuff podcast, hosted by my friend, Shalonda Dawkins. We come a long way. We come a long way. We come a long way. We bared our burdens in the heat of the day, knowing that the Lord would make a way. We had hard trials. Oh, we come a long way. We had hard trials. We come a long way. We kept on praying. We come a long way. We kept on praying. We come a long way. Knowing that the Lord would make a way. The other week, while carrying my laundry from the laundromat to the car, I began singing this song. Those good old school songs that remind you of what you've been through, that your elders tell you, baby, just keep on living. That's one of those songs. But some memories came back to me, and I began to reflect on just how far I have come by faith. Like they say, I'm not where I want to be, but Lord God, I am not where I used to be either. Most people would not consider being able to have laundry detergent, fabric softener, and dryer sheets as a luxury. But there was a point in my life that dishwashing liquid served as multiple purposes in my home. During the early 2000s, I usually didn't make a little more than minimum wage. When I reached the age of 23, I was anxious to get out of my parents' home. I didn't even own a car. I had a full-time job, a bicycle, and saved a couple of thousand, which seemed like a lot of money. My first apartment was $270. Like, that's some people's light bill right now. Which seemed like pennies because I was always working overtime at my nurse aide job. But as I now have matured to understand, unlike childhood, where you are protected from seeing the blows life can bring, in adulthood, they are unavoidable. And maybe I shouldn't say as a child you are protected, because depending on your situation and your household, you may have felt the effects of the struggles that your parents or guardians were experiencing. 2 months into having my apartment, I lost my job. I tried to make ends meet the best I could, but without transportation, it was hard to pay the rent that seemed so small in the beginning. I had gotten a job at a restaurant next door to the apartment. Then one day I got a call I was taken off the schedule because money was missing. Of all people that needed the money, but I didn't take it. My bills would have been paid. But what I did take was a few slices of lunch meat from our walk-in cooler, so I could at least eat one meal at home. That was a survival method I learned as a teenager and college student working at restaurants. You never go hungry. Most gave an employee meal or at least a 50% discount. When I worked at Sonic in high school and during college, they would take our meal expense from our paycheck. Once a part-time restaurant let me go, I had no food and now no income. And it wasn't long before I was locked out of my apartment. It was my first apartment and I did not understand how things worked. Understand that everything I am, every experience I have had, there was nobody guiding me except for God. I learned through trial and error. Instead of me going to the office to see what could be done, some of my friends climbed the balcony at night, pried open the patio door, and began removing what I could that night, leaving the little I owned and had collected for my first apartment behind. My parents believed once you left, there was no returning. And I am now a full adult. I wanted to survive on my own. I bounced around a few places until I moved into a rent house, and the rent there was $250. I managed to work a couple of temp jobs at the plant, which paid pretty good, long enough for me to get another vehicle. Of course, my parents did help, my father being that he worked at the dealership. Before that, I must add, with my bicycle, I would take the laundry basket and put it on the handlebars or on one leg of my lap and ride over to the laundromat. Creative, huh? I was surviving. Many of us complain about what we don't have. But sometimes I wonder, are you utilizing what you do have or complaining out of discomfort? Because if your legs work, you can walk. You might not have the best car that you want to drive right now, but you have some transportation. So ask yourself, when I'm complaining about what I don't have, is it because I'm a little bit uncomfortable? Or is it because I really have a need that has not been met yet? And if that need has not been met yet, and you've actually sought God, and you trust God, then you know that there's a reason why you haven't had that need met yet. There was a nice 1999 Malibu driven by one of the local ministers that had traded in his car. And my father, working at the dealership at the time, convinced his supervisor to let me have the car for $1,500. They were actually going to put it on the lot for sale for $3,000. I had to give $500 down, then pay $250 bi-weekly. Sounds like a breeze, right? That was in 2005. So here we are in 2021. I think the minimum wage then was about $5.15 an hour. By the time I received the car, the plant work had ended, and I was now working as a delivery driver at Mr. Gaddy's for $5.15 an hour, barely making any tips. And I only got 20 hours a week. So the few tips I did get, I put in the gas tank so I could work. My entire paycheck literally went to my car note. We rush to have cars. And I think about these teenagers that are up and coming that want cars so badly. They want the fancy car. They want the car that drives fast. They want the pretty car. If they only knew the expenses that come with the responsibility of having a vehicle. Along the strip mall by my house was a Dollar General and a King Dollar. Back then, I could get a 3-liter bottle of fruit punch soda for $1 and a loaf of bread for about 50 cents. So whether I had $2 that folded or jingled, I was good to have something to stick to my stomach. If I had butter, I would toast my bread. Simple things like shampoo, shower soap, laundry detergent added up to be items I could not afford. So I resulted in using dishwashing liquid multiple times to wash my hair, to shower, and to wash clothes by hand in the sink, then hang them out to dry. I was surviving. This was not what I pictured the freedom of adulthood to be like, especially when the city cut my water off. I believed in celebrating small blessings, and I considered it a huge blessing that the water wasn't completely cut off. It was only a trickle left. But I took my storage tub, and allowed the water to trickle into it so it'd be full when I needed to bathe. I would use a big pot and dip out some water to heat it on the stove so that it would not be so cold. As long as I could clean myself and eat something, getting through each day was grand. And as I said before, I tried to work at jobs that gave me food. So while during deliveries, I enjoyed eating free pizza. I know my eating habits sounded horrible, but I was surviving with the hope that the struggle would not last always. And not to take it lightly, during that same period of time, from 2003 to 2005, my mom had collapsed at home and was hospitalized for 30 days, in which I only got to see her 2 times. I didn't have my car yet. So the little few dollars she would give here and there, she wasn't working. She was recovering herself. So I was forced to have to pray to God and depend on myself, as adults should. I faithfully attended church, as well helped with the youth department, and any function in the church that I could. After my car was paid off, I began giving in faith tithes of my future salary. Now that I had transportation, I had the opportunity to find better paying jobs. While still working for Mr. Getty's delivering pizza, I applied for an entry-level position with Dow Chemical in Freeport that paid $16 an hour. I really had no clue what a distribution operator was. I just knew I met the qualifications and that it paid 3 times my current hourly wage. I could learn. It was a lengthy process. After the application, I received an invitation to test. After the test, there was an interview and the wait. By the time I received my letter of congratulations, my car needed quite a bit of upkeep. The drive from Bay City to Freeport was about 40 minutes. I would leave extra early, not only because I was grateful for the job, but because I had no brakes left. Fixing a car can be expensive. And as I've learned over the years, something small can really lead to major problems and more money, if not taken care of immediately. I literally had to take my foot off the gas a mile down the road so that I could stop at the lights or the stop signs. God had his hands of protection all over me. And when I got my first paycheck to handle the necessities, it was like I was still making minimum wage because I needed brake pads, but by the time the work needed to be done, I had destroyed all my rotors too. You know how they say, when you make more money, you spend more money? It is so true. Because of the increase of income, I was able to save more money to the point after just a few months, I was ready to relocate closer to my job. So I packed up my belongings and moved into an apartment in Lake Jackson, Texas. That, of course, was more expensive than my rent house. I had no children, a good job, a new place. You would think the rest of adulthood was smooth sailing. Of course, it wasn't. But I have still come a long way. From buying used furniture listed in the Source Weekly to decorate my home, even mattresses. I never even got a brand new mattress till I was 37 years old. To talk about humble beginnings. My life, well, it's been a roller coaster. I have dropped down, headed towards some pits, and just I felt I was headed down an abyss of unfortunate circumstances. Life turned around, and there was light at the end of my tunnel. You know, like that lightheaded feeling and rush you feel on a roller coaster? I felt it about the blessings in my life, but I always expected the drop. Now, after 4 years of therapy and learning about myself, a divorce, burying my parents, and numerous life experiences, I finally feel like I'm coasting and going up. Pits from now on are just meanings to pray in a test. Any moment of lowness is a test God is strengthening me for elevation. There were times I thought God hated me, but I didn't understand He was building me up. Understand that every struggle is to strengthen your faith. Sometimes I freely choose to operate outside of the will of God, which made my life more difficult. So ask yourself, am I struggling because of my choices? Or is this God trying to build me? Accountability is absolutely necessary on the road to maturity. Don't give up. Don't give in. Because you have come a long way. It took me a minute to understand that I wasn't waiting on God, but God was waiting on me. And it took me a minute to get on the correct path, to get my education, to now be walking into my career. Even the interview process I went through for my first year as an educator. It wasn't easy. No path to greatness will be easy. If you're living in survival mode, know that you can survive. Know that it won't always be that way. Pray for God to comfort you. And I only speak about experiences that I know, even though I'm not experiencing your personal experience. Stay encouraged. I am Everett Maxine, and I would like to thank you for listening to The Absence of Her. Please like, and most importantly, share.